Well, hello there. It is Tuesday evening, but by the time that you are watching or listening to this, it is going to be Wednesday for our midweek live. Got a special time tonight where I get to have a chat here with my father, Greg. He is right there in his home office with all of his nice books. I am on the beach, enjoying the waves behind me, or it could just be a benefit of technology and that of Zoom. It is good to be able to have a conversation with Dad tonight. We're going to just catch up. In fact, you've seen my kids since you have seen me last.
This is true.
Yeah. So how are things going down in Kingsport?
Well, they're going fine. We're having a bit of a spike with the COVID. So that's unfortunate. It's affecting school participation. It's affected a couple of churches, and we've got a couple of folks in our church on quarantine, and we're just being a little more careful than we normally felt the need to be, just to try to participate in the community to keep things on a safe level. Church is still going on, ministry going on. Last night I went to the jail, had 7 men give their lives to Christ. So yeah, God's at work. He's still at work.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we've, I think the virus worldwide is we're seeing an uptick on, and nobody is immune. We've seen a little increase of cases here in Mason County, but thankfully we're still in school, which has been a blessing after being home for several months. But we're
I had 2 kids for a few days. How could that be a need to put those sweeties in school?
yeah.
Do we all need a break?
Just a little. You took them to the zoo, and you are a glutton for punishment.
Well, I was. It made some memories.
Yeah, I'm sure. But so we're church is still going well. In fact, we are moving this Sunday back into our sanctuary. We've been meeting over in our fellowship hall building since June, and just decided that there's never going to be the perfect time to try to to move back, but I think this is a good time for us. We're keeping all of the same safety protocols, but it's not that that the sanctuary is the only place you can worship God, but it is the place that that's what that room is for. And so we want to make a good use of it. We it's been kind of dormant for for quite a few months. We had a wedding there a few weeks ago, which was went well, and we've got it got everything, I think got it all ready. So we're looking forward to being able to worship in our sanctuary this Sunday.
We were in the park for many weeks, I guess probably 6 weeks. All my medical people at church, told me that outdoors was the safest place to be. And since we were already doing a park service for campers at 9:00, we're outdoors. It's an open air kind of chapel there. So I got permission from the park, and but they cooperated, and we had 2 services, one at 9, one at 10. We had between 160 and 200 people in worship, which was amazing. We were able to take care of the campers and maybe some folks from other churches that were meeting at all, and then a lot of our folks. And but the weather began to get unpredictable. It was in the 40s or low 40s. Just really time to go back indoors, and it was nice. It's nice to be in the sanctuary. We've worshiped so much and be in that familiar place. But I told our folks, I'm not a scaredy cat, and but I don't have the luxury to be bold and tough, and it doesn't matter. We're gonna rebel or whatever. I don't have that luxury because I have several hundred people that I'm responsible for. I want to care for them, particularly those with health issues and aged. So, I choose to be cautious because I love them and I love our community. And if for some people that's playing with the government and playing with the game or whatever. And I don't see it that way at all. I see it as being responsible and caring. And, if it's a little bit more than some people would like to do, then that's a small price to pay to be on the side of caution and safety and love.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going. We're going to get through this eventually. As one of my friends said, well, I can't wait till the election's over so this COVID thing ends. So
Me
I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm not going to say that, but I am ready for it to be over.
Oh, that would be a great answer to prayer if that's all it takes is for the election to be over and it's to be gone. Man, that is, but yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I'm at. Is it's health is not the health concerns are not the only thing to take into to account. But it is a big one. I mean, there are, sadly, the people are really struggling still, with it somewhat. I don't know, what are we, 7-8 months now into this thing, but at the same time, trying to, strike that balance, because I know, at least, those that are able to get out and to come, how much is, the worship is of our people. And so, I think, in this time and place, in the midst of great difficulties, God, we can see God's goodness even in when things aren't ideal. I was sharing with somebody the other day, and what happens if things get worse and we have to make some type of adjustment. And I said, the great thing about, at least here in our context, is we're nimble enough that we can move and shift fairly quickly. If we need to move back to the fellowship, we can do it, within a Sunday. If we need to, to close down and go virtual for a couple of weeks, we have that ability to do so. And I think that's, I think that's a good thing. And just trying to strike that balance of, being as safe as we can, but at the same time, really, sensing the need of our spiritual health, as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
We need to worship, and I think people forget that. And I know folks say, you can worship online, you can worship at home, you can worship with Zoom. There's so many things, but there's something about the people gathering and being together. When the scripture says that we sing psalms and spiritual songs, it says that we sing them to each other.
Yeah.
Now, I think we sometimes operate under the concept that we're singing them to God, but not to God alone. We're also singing to each other. We are encouraging each other's faith. And it's difficult to do that from distance. It's just difficult. So, I look forward to getting together and seeing people who've suffered the things that I've suffered and had similar experiences. And we're all worshiping God. We refuse to let down our faith. And, I know in some states, we were told, don't sing.
Yeah.
Now, you can do anything, you can't sing. Keep your distance, wear a mask, but don't you sing. Yeah. And I told our staff and our deacons, I said, if we can't sing, let's just go home. Yeah. Because everything else we do from home. We can't hug, we can't shake hands, we can't be in close proximity for fellowship. So if we can't sing, then pretty much all we can do is listen to the word, and we can do that at home.
Yeah.
So
you can sing at home,
Yeah, but you can't sing to each other, and boy, you miss that. So, that's why I'm really glad to be back. Now, there's one other subtle thing I wanted to mention, and I think sometimes we forget this, and that is that not everybody really loves God and really wants to worship and has a heart. Some people are at church out of duty or to be seen, or because they're elderly mom or dad expects them there, and fill in the blank, whatever the reason is. But for those who really don't have a heart for God and love him with all their heart, like the scripture says, COVID is a wonderful excuse.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful excuse. If you run to somebody at the restaurant and say, well, I haven't seen you at church. Well, it's the COVID, and you want to go, yeah, I know. How about Myrtle Beach? You had a wonderful trip. How'd that go? Or Dollywood for us, or just whatever, yeah, well, we were at the football game. Oh, really? The one where they weren't wearing the masks, so, you don't want to be cynical, but the truth of the matter is for quite a few folks, this is the perfect excuse to keep your pajamas on and have breakfast late and just watch it on TV if you want to, or don't watch it on TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
You and I know that statistics are showing that a lot of people aren't watching our worship. We're told that they're really not by statistics.
Yeah.
So it's time to get back, because we get our faith on fire. And, we can still use online worship as an outreach tool to reach out to people who are seeking and searching, or people that have health issues or really can't come, or whatever like that. But for the bulk of the church, we need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need to worship.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and we see that here, one of the encouraging things, especially with being able to do the online. Obviously, I can't be in two places at one time, so we pre-record, and then but after our worship service Sunday, I'll get on there and look at all of the different comments and look who's watching, and you're seeing that the different couples and families that are watching together, that aren't able to physically come, and so. They're making it as as community oriented as they can, but you're also right, and that's the physical health of our older people weighs heavy on you. Yes. But really the spiritual health of our younger people weighs almost equally as much, and that's where we see the statistics, and even anecdotally I notice it too, is that the younger people are the ones that are just, not do, because, if you got the kids screaming at you, it's easier to put on Disney Plus or to watch on something on Netflix instead of, watching my lovely face. Maybe if I preached with the beach behind me, I might, but so that's, but at the same time, at least with us, it's been a challenge of doing a nursery or any type of children's programming, because one of the restrictions, but also, those people that were faithful to serve each and every week or in those categories, they're just not able to come. And so that's where we're going to experiment for a little bit, just to kind of get us used to coming back, is we're going to open our nursery. We're just going to kind of use it more like a cry room. So if let's use my kids, for example. Silas is running wild, like he tried to do the other Sunday, and come and tackle me while I'm preaching. We can, you could take him downstairs. We have the service on the TV, and the parents can bring them down. And because, you're right in that, we see that our younger people may not be staying away for health reasons, but it may be the kind of reasons where it's challenging to sit there with 3 or 4 kids while you're trying to worship. And so, what can we do to balance those things? So we're going to try it and see how it goes and improve from there.
We're all just doing the best we can. There is no precedent. So we're all just trying to navigate best we can. And, we still have our children's church that goes on. I still do the children's sermon with the pastor, down front. We're trying to round up some nursery people to fill in the gap for right now out of the younger crowd, because the older folks aren't comfortable. And listen, I respect those who say, we're at risk, we can't do it, I'm sorry. Or they have a job like a school teacher or something. And I can't allow myself to be in higher risk places to spread it more. No, full respect there. But my fear is that for people whose faith is waning a bit, it's just too easy to get away from the support. And when we worship, it inspires the heart.
Absolutely.
When we worship together and we hear from God together, we singing together. There's something about that that warms the heart and encourages us. And so losing the opportunity may have more of an impact that we know, particularly, I think, on teenagers, young adults, older children. I think they can lose their connectivity with
Uh,
the church.
yeah, absolutely. That's, the thing. And we've, even with, Riley in school is, we think, especially the younger, because they're not at physical risk and stuff, but is that they don't feel it as maybe as we as adults may do. But we've seen from going from homeschooling to being back in person, how the change, how even with a first grader, how much that human interaction is needed, and when they're able to do so.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the connectivity, as I mentioned, being connected to your church, it's one reason why I and probably you are involved with chaplaincies,
Yep.
because it gives us a chance to connect the church through our hands and feet and others' hands and feet, in particular areas of need in our community, maybe that are struggling for for contact and assistance and ministry in structured ways, so they can count on us. And when I go, I always let my church know, when I'm going somewhere, you're going somewhere. You know,
Absolutely.
when I'm going into the jail, you're going in the jail. When I'm going to the hospital to visit a stranger on behalf of the hospital, I'm going because you are keeping me here as pastor. And the same with sports, high school sports. I'm able to go with young people and inspire and encourage because you send me.
Yeah.
So, tell me about this new role you have with the police department.
Sure. Yeah. I recently, within the last couple of months, have been, I guess, appointed. I don't know how the official way the commission voted. So I am to become a volunteer chaplain with our local police department, the Maysville Police Department. And it's one of those things, well, I mean, kind of learned from you, but also even just kind of experiencing the challenges of ministering myself, as us as ministers. It's easy to really to become kind of insulated in the church, and to where you're kind of just really not out there engaging with the community, with those outside of the walls of the church. So that's always been kind of a I want to I see kind of the role as a pastor is, yes, it is to care for our flock, but the church also has a role to be a good citizens in the community. And so a dear friend of mine and our director of missions and fellow pastor, Tony Lease, is served as the chaplain by himself. And I believe they've had some others on, but he's kind of the main active one. And he served, I don't know, for a long time. And we were chatting one day, and was just curious about it, and just things kind of clicked. I got to know the chief a little bit and some of the other officers, and there was a need there, and I was able to kind of step on board. Not just me, but another fellow, a female pastor here in our community, and she came on as well, which has been good, because especially as a in chaplaincy and being a minister, you've got females that are officers that are working there, but also in dealing with people in crisis, especially some domestic stuff where may not be comfortable speaking to a man. So it's I think it's been a good fit thus far. I've enjoyed it. Still got a lots to learn, but I really do. I feel that it's kind of it is kind of a mission role. The church is sending you, even though I'm not going, across the world, but just down the street to serve in this role, to invest in the officers and the community at large. But you're an old hat at it.
Well, I don't know about an old hat. I'm old, but I learned some time ago that if we're not careful as pastors, we'll find ourselves in meetings and committee meetings and subcommittee meetings and association meetings. And before we know it, we're sitting in council meetings, and we're studying for sermons, and we're in our office, our ivory tower, and we're putting in time with that. And we're doing pastoral care with our church members. And I think before you know it, you say, no one's been baptized in a while.
Yeah.
Or, what's up with that? And sometimes when we do baptize somebody, it's children and grandchildren. Not that they're not valuable, as I think, but that's just biological growth out of our own family groups. So why aren't we reaching out more? And I'm reminded Jesus took those fishermen and he said, put on your nets, come follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. And it occurred to me that in more contemporary terminology, you don't really catch a lot of fish off the dock. You got to get out there on the lake.
Absolutely.
And so for me, being a chaplain is about serving and helping in the greater kingdom outside of our walls. But it's also about getting off the dock, getting out on the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's that it's easy to to be and especially in the days of COVID, to kind of get into the survival mode, and we're just reacting to everything that's coming to us. But for me and in the midst of COVID in September, I had my 2-year anniversary here in Maysville. And I think it was Henry Blackley that said in his experience in God that, you need to, you look to see where God is working, and then you need to just kind of jump on board and take part in that. And so that's, the ways, that I've served in church, but also outside of the church. It just seemed to be kind of a natural fit. So it started, with the Ministerial Association. Back a year ago, they asked for me to serve as the president. I never thought about, doing that. I'm still not sure why, if I have the skills to be able to do that, but it's been a great blessing to engage and to get to be with, our fellow pastors from all different denominations, and to get to love them and to care for them. And then the same thing, you just kind of naturally, through connections, just worked with this chaplaincy. And, it's, and I think that's kind of the thing with the fishing analogy is, you don't have to force it as long as you make yourself available. I think just open our eyes to the world that's around us. God's going to open those doors for you at the right time.
Yeah, see that, and this is where it gets a little different in the exegesis of these passages. When we think of fishing compared to the fishing time of Christ, we use words like, well, you got to get the right bait, you got to get a good pole. And okay, that's not the mentality when that was written.
Right.
You had a net that had weights around the edge. I think it's usually circular and it's pretty large, had a drawstring on it. And so you would cast it out not knowing if there were any fish underneath. But you just believe there were, because eventually there's going to be fish there because you're out there where they are. And so you just keep casting the net over and over, even though you don't see them, because as the net drifts down, if there are fish down there, it's going to wrap around them, and you're going to pull them in. And it's almost the same thing with the parable of the sower or the soils. Yes, some soil accepted the seed and grew better than others, but the sower was generous. He was throwing it everywhere. And so, it's not like we're out there going, well, I'm going to claim more people for our church, help our budget and our attendance. No, 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 no. When I work with sports at the high school, I guarantee you, most of those kids don't even know where I'm pastor. They know I'm there because of Jesus, because of them. I've never said to them, you should come visit you should meet our youth minister. You should come to our worship service. Never. I would never do that. I'm there just to love them and encourage them, share some devotion and pray with them, sit with their parents during the games and encourage the coaches, I'm just casting a net for the Lord. In prison, same thing. And then hospital, same thing. If I get called, once a month, I'm on call for 12 hours. And if I get called to come in, it's because somebody's probably died or there's been a tragedy. And that has nothing to do with my church and attendance. That has to do with some people that are wounded in our community, that on behalf of our church, in the name of the Lord, I go. Now, I think one thing that's helped me is to see how I can duplicate all of this, because I'm not going to live forever. I'm not going to, be here forever, and nor are you. So I'm duplicating. We now have 1, 2, 3 men in our church who go into the men's jail and minister, and at least 2, maybe a third, that go into the ladies section of the jail and minister there. Wow. And so, if I drop dead today, somebody's going to be there at the next opportunity, which is what you want to happen. It's just it's a beauty about duplicating.
Yes, there is. And also it's for me, in doing it, it's not a, it doesn't even really seem like an obligation or a burden. It's a giving, and so, but, for me, it especially in my, one of the roles that we have here in Maysville is that on death notifications, they send a chaplain with the officer. Now, I haven't had to do that yet, but in fact, this is my week to be on call for that. In some ways, you're meeting people kind of at their worst, at their lowest point, especially in that case, regardless of, typically it's going to be some type of tragedy that you're dealing with. And at the same time with the officers, I've been able to, ride along, with a few of them. And I mean, as you know, it's a trying time to be in law enforcement. And so just to know that somebody cares, for them. And then another thing here, we're working with the department. We're getting about to be trained with the other chaplains and a few others on to help with trauma recovery with PTSD, and for those in first responders, as well as the military that comes back, because so many of those people, I mean, what you see, the little bit that I have seen thus far is, just really opened my eyes to how sheltered, in a good way, that I have been. And they're seeing it, day in and day out.
Clearly. And, there's a biblical foundation for chaplaincy, so to speak. And I think some people, it maybe escapes them a bit. In Matthew 25, Jesus tells the story of the final judgment of the king, of the judge, Christ, who has everyone standing before him. And he talks to those on the left, those on the right, sheep, goats. And he mentions to them, he says, oh, when I was, find the first here, when I was hungry, you gave me food.
Hmm.
When I was thirsty, you gave me drink.
Yeah.
When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was sick, you visited me. When I was in prison, you came to me. And then, of course, the righteous go, Lord, when did we do that for you? And he says, when you did it unto the least of these, you did it for me. And so if you look at that, I think it's fair to say there are 6 specific things God wants the church to do. Now, whether that's a local church or the greater concept of church, but to give food to the hungry. And many people do that. I know your church does that, which is awesome. To children, you give them that. And then give water to the thirsty. And, our church drills water wells in impoverished villages in India so that people don't have to walk 1, 2, and 3 miles to get fresh water. And we just drilled 2 wells just the other day, and I got the word on that. When I was a stranger, you welcomed me. Could that maybe be homeless people that have no home, and we open up our doors or a ministry to them in some way? When I was naked, you clothed me. I know some churches have clothing ministries. We do one for infants and toddlers. There seems to be a really big need, young moms that have infants and toddlers.
Right.
When I was sick, you visited me. A lot of churches do that, but hospital chaplains do that.
Yeah.
You take care of, those folks, and they're also strangers.
Yeah.
But then I was in prison. You came to me, and I think that works with like police chaplaincy, jail ministry, prison ministry. And I'm not saying that we have to do all of these, although that was one of my goals, and we do all of those now. I took it very literally and I acted on it. But we should at least do 3 or 4 of these. Every church should, because the need is so great. And it's very important to me that when I stand before the Lord, he says, what I asked, you did.
That's right.
Thank you. And so for me, this is the core of chaplaincy to me. And I know apparently it's yours too.
Yeah, well, and I think we see in those. You could sum all of that up and just is to care for people. that is what it is. But so much of, especially, we would say the outreach, or what we try to do as a church is really that we can gain from that into, to get people into our church, and that's I think when we have I'm losing myself, when we have a self-centered focus, or we think about ourselves first, then I think this type of ministry is very challenging, because the fruit of gaining a bunch of active church members may or may not happen. But when we think of a kingdom focus first, we can see that that we can still minister without seeing, it's the lead versus the lag measure. And what I've noticed here, at least in our community too, is in with the partnerships that we have to be able to care for those. So, for example, the last few weeks, and I know that it's a federal program, the farm to table, I think, or something. It was excess food that was when COVID came, shut down the restaurants. And so they've been giving that to nonprofits to hand out. And so in the last couple of weeks, we in Maysville have gotten like 3,000 boxes of food. And wow. I was got a phone call from a fellow pastor saying that another pastor was getting a big shipment of the food and they couldn't get rid of it all, and asked me to reach out to the churches in the LMA and if they would want to come and get some. And just found out today we're getting another 1,000 boxes on Friday. And so we've seen that the different churches and even the police departments getting in on it to help to distribute these boxes of food, because it's not about building up one specific church. It's about meeting those in their, that are in need with the love of Christ. And so, it'd have been very tempting for, the one church to say, look, we've got all of this. We want to get all the glory from, and they haven't done that. And honestly, no church that I know of has done that here. And so we can see that, there's some things that are distinctive, with the autonomous church, but I'm finding there's many things that the global church could probably do a better job of partnering together to help to meet those needs. It's a both and.
Partnership is important, and partnership lends humility. It's not about us, other than our faithfulness. We give away food to anybody that comes. Doesn't matter where you live, what your zip code is, or your status, whatever. We have food boxes, and it'll have a lot of staples in it, and you get that if you come by. We'll give that to you. But then down the road, we have a huge partnership with the Christian church that has this massive weekly giveaway. People are lining up and they're loading up with like bags of potatoes and maybe a ham or something like that. Way more than anything we would attempt to do. And then we have some places that take care of baby needs, like with diapers and stuff, or we'll partner a lot with Salvation Army. Like our church rings the bell every Thursday from Thanksgiving, the week after Thanksgiving through Christmas. And, we probably raise, $1,000 a week easily at Walmart. And that's $4,000 or $5,000 to help do stuff that we're not downtown. We don't do. So we want to partner with them in our way. And all of this, it's the right hand, it's the left hand, it's the tongue, the foot, the eyes, it's the body of Christ at work. But the chaplaincy thing, I think, is so special because it allows a point person to go on point, to be there, to be hands and feet doing it in the name of Jesus. It's just special.
It is, and you have to put yourself out there to begin to see the needs, and especially, if you hop in a car with an officer and ride around till 2 or 3 in the morning, you see things, but it also, helps you as me as the minister to know what's going on in our community. What do we need to be praying for? How do we need to be serving in order to help to combat some of these, these big problems that are facing, not just our community, but, all around the country.
When you're with an officer, what do you see? I mean, do you hear a morale issue, that they're feeling the pressure that so many people are waiting for them to mess up? Or when you're with them, do you just go, wow, we have really good people on the front line? What do you see, Adam?
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't want to speak too openly, but honestly, I haven't, probably earned the trust enough to be around. But from what I sent out a devotion to the guys today, is the utmost respect just for them. And from what I have seen, I've seen those that care deeply about the job that they do, and the professionalism, and that they want to do it right. But at the same time, there is a caring aspect. I have never met an officer who says that they enjoy writing somebody a speeding ticket or putting somebody in jail. That is not, that's not the enjoyment that they see. But it is, we've got a good group of guys that I have, those that I've been with, and that's, I think they, but at the same time, you can, they don't always have to tell you. You can kind of sense it sometimes that that, the world is watching, and so there is pressure that that they face every time they hop in that cruiser.
And I'm okay with the world watching if watching means we hold those in positions of authority, particularly those who have access to lethal force.
Yeah.
We hold them accountable. We expect honorable and good behavior. But if watching means I've got my eyes open because I know you're going to do horrible, evil things, and I can't wait to catch you,
Yeah.
that disturbs me. And I think that disturbs all the sheriff here in our county is a good friend, and we've got a senior police officer in the city, goes to our church, good friend. I get several good friends on the county force. Of course, I know a lot of the deputies now through the jail, and I see a lot of good. I see a lot of good, sincere, honest people, and it's an honor to rub shoulders with them, to serve with them. I have a couple of deputies who pray for me every time I go into the jail. They ask me to let them know so they can be praying, and it's so cool to be in there ministering to people who were put in jail by people who now have compassion for, well, they always did, but they have compassion. They want them to come to Christ. They want them to be blessed. And it's just kind of cool. That's a little caveat that's really special to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's why in the devotion I said that we've kind of our head chaplain has been doing it for a long time. Every week, sending a weekly devotion. He's like, if kind of our on call week, why don't we send one out? And I was just reading through the Psalms. It came Psalm 101, which is a Psalm of David on integrity, and basically kind of looked, obviously we're all called to have integrity, but especially those that are in power, and in David's time, nobody had more power than he did. And so it is, integrity is important. I mean, as a professor of ours said that, you can have everything, but if you don't have integrity, you have nothing. And so, here, I think it's an encouragement, but it's also to keep in the back of your mind that people are, watching, and the vast majority of people, I would say, believe in the best. There's some that probably are kind of, watching for you to mess up. But here recently in the last several months, our officers now all wear body cameras. And I'll be honest, I think it's been a good thing, at least from what I've heard, is because, I think it's helped probably in with the public when they know that they're being watched too, that they're not going to come back and say as much, but I do, I think the transparency is good, within the right framework, and accountability is good for us all. And that's the thing. I mean, we see, it's Psalm 101, David talking of integrity, but where he lacked accountability, his integrity failed with him and Bathsheba. And so it's also, I think, good for us to recognize that none of us are above, above sin. And so, I think it's good to have others that care for us, to hold us accountable.
There's a big question you've not answered because I'm not asked it yet. So, twofold. What does your church think about you going and being a chaplain with the police department? And secondly, maybe more importantly, what does Riley Beth think about you riding with the police officer and being a chaplain?
Well, yeah, no, it was, back, gosh, I mean, it's probably December, January. So I guess when the process kind of got started, and I just, ran it by the church, and we don't, I don't think any active officers that are in our church, but we do have some family connections, and ran it by them, and I think they were very supportive of that, in part because they see, the role of our, the community and being out there. But at the same time, and that's, they've encouraged that. And then I've also conveyed that to, to those in the department too, is that, the church is my first love, it is my, my vocation, my calling, but what I've seen thus far is they've gone hand in hand, together. And so I think it's been, it's been good because, the people in our church do, one, love and care for this community, but also for those that are, first responders. And so then Riley, when so for Halloween, we are all dressing up as characters from Zootopia. And so I get the privilege of being the sloth, and Mommy is Jess is the sheep. And then Silas is the fox. And then Riley gets to be Officer Hops, which is the bunny. And she was wanting to get a badge, and she needed a badge to go with her bunny outfit. And so I was out riding with one of the officers, and we had to get something out of the trunk, and he had a roll of those badge stickers. And then I said, "Can I get a couple of those?" And he said, "Yeah, take as many as you want." And so yeah, I got her a badge. So that's, that's the nice thing with the 6-year-old. They're easy to please. I don't know in a few years if a sticker is going to work just as well, but it's been, it's been good.
But it's, son, I find it very fulfilling to not just care for your people as we should, not just preach the truth and not just teach and disciple and such, but to extend ourselves outside of our walls to truly impact a community is very rewarding. And I think it's rewarding because we're fulfilling an expectation that Christ has for us. And I'm really happy that you're doing that. I'm just really pleased. And like I said, I've really enjoyed it. I tell the men every third Monday when I show up, I'll say, "This is my favorite thing of the month." And they look at me like,
"Going to jail?"
"Yeah, you're kind of warped, aren't you?" And then I'll kind of laugh and I'll say, I said, "There's nobody in our community, most likely nobody, that needs hope more than you do."
Yeah.
And I said, "You're a captive audience. Nobody's going to get up and leave." And I said, but to be honest, I said, "Y'all are very respectful."
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. And I try to be down to earth with you. Yeah. And y'all receive that well. I said, "It's an honor to be with you." And I think that's true, whether it's police officers, whether it's making difficult calls, whether it's going to a hospital and somebody's coded blue and the family's upset, whether it's going to a ball team and then meeting in their locker room and teaching them about character and life, not just, yay, rah, rah, go team. I think these are real life applications, most rewarding, and it's a joy to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. We see, we think of the incarnation when it comes to Christmas. Jesus came to dwell among us, which is absolutely true. But I think as ministers, we are to be incarnational in our ministry, and that means that we go to be with the people. And that it, especially in COVID times, it's been difficult to be with people. And so when we can find, sometimes you just got to get creative in order to put yourself where you need to be at the time that you need to be there with the people that God has called you to serve. And I think you're there. I think I'm there, and we'll continue to be there until God, decides to change it up again. I just hope it's not another virus. Well, I don't know.
It's been a joy to be with you tonight. And I hope some of our rambling and our laughter and our anecdotes and stuff, I hope it has some meaning for folks. It's not like we've arrived or we're special. We're just doing our part, and everybody does their part, and the kingdom of God marches on. It's just humbling that the Lord would see fit to use us. It's just humbling.
It is absolutely, yeah. That is, um, yeah. Nobody has arrived, and but I think that's the beauty is we have to trust in the one who has, and I don't know. I find I'm doing that more and more each day. So, well, I hope you have a great evening. It is getting late, so we will. It'll be tomorrow evening by the time people be watching this. So if you have enjoyed it, let us know. If there's anything in particular you would like us to chat about, please do. Good news is next week the election's going to be over, so we won't be able to talk about that. So, no, we'll yeah, it's been good, and we'll do it again. Thank you.